Alright, so it has been a long and winding road for this movie, but it's finally here. It's The Day the Earth Blew Up, a Looney Tunes movie, which I honestly just found out is the title. I've just been calling this The Day the Earth Blew Up this whole time, or just the Looney Tunes movie. So this is a film that was originally going to release on HBO Max and then be shown on Cartoon Network a bit later, but it ended up becoming a big staple for the Looney Tunes. It is the first feature-length, theatrically released, fully 2D animated Looney Tunes movie. Now, the Looney Tunes have had feature-length movies before, like Space Jam and Back in Action, which I am a Back in Action defender. I actually really like that movie. But those, of course, had live-action actors included in them. And I never really had a problem with that. I know Looney Tunes is animation first and foremost, but I don't really mind them interacting with real celebrities as if they were like the Muppets or something. So this movie was not even distributed by Warner Brothers. I think we all kind of know the story. An evil man named Zaslav took over Warner Brothers and he wanted this movie canned. He just wanted to write it off for tax purposes, and what they did instead was they ended up kind of auctioning it around, seeing if other distributors wanted to pick it up. In the end, it was Ketchup Entertainment who got this movie, which I don't know anything about them other than they had to do with like the last Hellboy movie. But anyway, David Zaslav, he just like hates the Looney Tunes. He is like the real life algorithm.
Yo, King, you're about to lose your family, your friends, those tunes, everything you love.
But along the way, on this long and winding road, this film was shown at film festivals, and it gained like quite a following. A lot of people really liked what they saw, which I think is what really allowed it to be auctioned off in the end. But that's how we ended up with a Looney Tunes movie that is not distributed by Warner Brothers, which is insane to think of. That's like a Mickey Mouse movie not distributed by Disney, you know, besides like the Steamboat Willie horror movies or whatever. And you could make the argument that this was the better fate for it, because if it wasn't picked up by Ketchup, it would have just been released on a streaming service. And it's so hard to make any sort of impact in the age of streaming. Like, your movie just shows up and it's forgotten a week later. But then there's always the box office to consider, and I think I'll get to that a bit more later. So this movie is actually directed by Peter Braungart. The dude has a lot of involvement in some very popular TV shows, mostly on Cartoon Network, but he also happens to be the creator of Uncle Grandpa and Secret Mountain Fort Awesome. You know, not really the best of shows, but he did find his calling when he ended up doing a reboot of the Looney Tunes show for HBO Max. You know, back when it was HBO Max, back when it was probably the best streaming service. Now it's like bottom tier. I only watched a few episodes of this, but it was surprisingly really good. Just some really beautiful animation. It really felt like the guy understood Looney Tunes, and it worked out well for him because in the end, he got to make this movie. But how is this movie? Well, first of all, before I ask that, what is this movie? Well, this is a film that stars the beloved duo of Daffy Duck and Porky Pig. We get to learn their backstory as they were raised by Farmer Jim. Who's Farmer Jim? Well, if you watch the movie, you'll know. Actually, I love how they did that character in this movie. He's basically just like a still painting and they just animated the lips. It's probably the funniest thing in this movie. So he raises them into adulthood and leaves them to look after the house when a mysterious meteorite smashes through their roof. They end up failing the inspection, and if they don't find a way to fix the roof in a couple of days, they are going to lose the house. So, of course, Daffy and Porky go around getting jobs, failing at everyone. They end up getting a job in the gum factory with Petunia Pig, who happens to be a gum taste tester, which is a real job. It probably is a real job for all I know. And I was all right with Petunia Pig in this. Like, I had nothing wrong with her, but I've noticed this trend since I've been a kid, where it seems like when they have a character, like a female character, and they don't know what to do with her, they just make her super smart or a scientist, which didn't really bother me in the context of this movie, but it just feels like something that's been going on way too long now. So anyway, they are now working in the gum factory when Daffy stumbles upon the horrible truth of what's happening with the gum they are manufacturing. It's being sold to people as a means of mind control. They chew the gum and these like little alien creatures latch onto their tongue and take over their mind. You know, it's kind of cool, but also kind of gross. For the most part, this film is very much a parody of 50s B movies, which I think really works as Looney Tunes' first feature-length animated movie because they were always doing parodies of classic films in the old series. I think it works as being both a parody of it, but also, you know, playing into the tropes and being exactly that kind of movie. Oddly enough, I just watched Night at the Zoopocalypse before this, which I went on a rant kind of about how that should have been a Halloween movie, and then this comes out like a week after, which also should have been released around Halloween. Like, there is some genuinely frightening stuff in this film, which I didn't expect. The gum monster with like one eyeball and the novelty teeth is like one of the scariest things I've seen in a movie in a while. But I can tell that the animators just had a lot of fun designing and animating that creature. The animators here did a terrific job. This movie is super fluent. And it's just nice to see a traditional 2D animated film in theaters again, at least in America. I know me and my sister, we watch a lot of animated movies, and because of that, we've seen a lot of 2D movies in theaters, but I think the last American one I saw was Bob's Burgers a couple years ago, and this movie kind of had more of that feel of like a SpongeBob movie. Like, it took me back to when I was a kid and I saw the SpongeBob movie in theaters. It also happens to steal some bits from that movie, probably unintentionally. But more importantly, this whole movie in some ways kind of feels like a ripoff of Chicken Little, like down to the fact that they use the REM song towards the end of the movie. And my sister pointed out that the alien spaceship reminded them of the alien spaceship in Chicken Little, which, yeah, it did. Truth be told, I did not find this movie to be hilarious, but it was just like so fast-paced and it was just constantly throwing jokes out. I was never bored watching it. And of course, nobody wants to talk about this, but I feel like there was stuff in this that was like borderline fetish fuel. There's some really like blatant ones. Like, there's a part where Porky Pig trips and like Petunia Pig's foot falls in his mouth, and I was just like, oh no. And I don't really know like what kind of fetish it would be, but definitely the stuff with the mind control and all of the gooey slime. It just felt very deviant art-esque to me. But also, I have no way to prove it. I could be way off. Let's just say that I have my suspicions. Anyway, the plot of this movie was serviceable and knew exactly what beats it needed to hit. I mean, there's no way that Daffy Duck and Porky Pig are ever gonna have a disagreement of any sorts. I mean, those two are best friends. I didn't mind that stuff. It's exactly what I expected from this kind of movie. But overall, I had a lot of fun with this film. It might actually be my favorite that I've seen this year, which is not saying a whole lot. And I've seen Mickey 17, The Monkey, Dogman. I liked all those movies, except I actually wasn't a big fan of Dogman. I might do a video on the books sooner or later because I absolutely love the books. Do I recommend this movie? Yeah, I do. I think it's a lot of fun, and I think people that like animation are gonna love it. But do I recommend you see it in theaters? Well, this is the part where I'm supposed to say yes, but as I mentioned before, I saw this with my sister, and this was honestly one of the worst movie-going experiences I've had in a while. There was a family with screaming kids who were just crying through the whole movie. They were running up and down the aisles, through the seats. They were kicking chairs, and they were talking at just like normal volume. We were on the other end of the theater, but like the sounds were so loud that we kept getting up and moving, and we weren't the only ones there. Like, there was a lot of people in this theater. Now, it's never this bad, but this has kind of been a common occurrence for me when I go and see children's movies at this AMC. This only happens with kids' films. With like R-rated films, the worst you'll get is somebody's on their phone, which I can deal with that. And yes, I get it's a kids movie. Kids are going to be there, and I don't mind that. I love it that there's kids seeing these movies that are made for them. It's just I wish their parents would not bring them there if they were just going to be impolite the whole time. I go to the theater a lot, and that's because I like to keep up to date with film. It's just much easier for me to go see them in theaters than have to rent a movie every time it's available at home. Mostly because I have AMC A-List, and I kind of feel like I have to go to the theater because they don't give me the option to watch these at home. But how often do I actually enjoy the experience of being there? Like 50% of the time. I know that these filmmakers are all about supporting theaters right now, and I get that. I mean, part of it is because they need to make money. And I used to feel that way, but now I'm more about supporting independent theaters, even though I go to AMC. But yeah, if I had the option to watch this at home, I would have just jumped on that. It would have been a lifesaver. I think theaters need to do something about rude guests. I don't really know what they would do. Like, I don't expect them to have a bouncer or something. I just don't want to feel like I'm at a daycare every time I go and see a movie. But anyway, this movie, I guess it's currently underperforming, which was expected because there was like no marketing for this thing. But my theater was pretty packed. Same with Mickey 17. Like, I've noticed at my local theater, all the movies that I always hear are bombing are usually ones that seem to be doing pretty well. I'd say if you're dedicated to the cause and you're like, save animation, save Looney Tunes, yeah, go see this in theaters. Otherwise, you could probably just wait for a rental of some sort. Anyway, thank you all for watching this. If you enjoyed this video, please give this video a like, or you can subscribe to my channel. I could definitely use the support, and I really appreciate anything I can get. But until next time, I hope to see you guys in the near future. Goodbye.